Ladies and gentlemen, rugby league is a brutal game. A test of endurance, a theatre of resilience, and sometimes, when momentum seems just within reach, it throws a curveball, or in Brisbane's case, two. Because as the Broncos prepare for a monumental moment, as Ben Hunt's homecoming edges closer and anticipation builds around Suncorp, two cruel setbacks have cast a long shadow over the celebration. Blake Mozer, Corey Jensen, both gone, both out, and both delivering a gut punch to Brisbane's 2025 campaign. This wasn't supposed to happen now. Not with Hunt on the cusp of wearing the maroon and gold once more. Not with finals hopes flickering in the distance. But reality doesn't wait for sentiment. It doesn't respect timing. And this week, it struck twice. Blake Mozer, the young hooker many see as the heir to Brisbane's dummy half throne, has been dealt a cruel hand. A broken jaw, a broken run, a broken momentum at the worst possible time. He'd just resigned, just committed his future to Red Hill for 2 more years. Just signalled to the rugby league world, I believe in this club. I believe in what's building here. And yet, he hasn't featured under Michael Maguire this season. Not once. Not in 2025. Instead, he's been plying his trade in the Queensland Cup. Working, grinding, waiting for the call, and when it finally looked like he might force his way into the conversation, fate intervened with a sickening twist. Over the weekend, in a seemingly ordinary Q Cup clash, Mozer took a knock. Left the field for a head injury assessment. Didn't come back. Later, it was revealed, the damage ran deeper. A fractured jaw, a minimum of 4 weeks. Maybe more, maybe the season. The timing couldn't be worse. Because Ben Hunt's return, the emotional, strategic, spiritual boost the Broncos were counting on, was supposed to inject life into the spine. And Mozer, he was meant to be part of that story. A chance to train alongside one of the best to ever wear the No. 9. A chance to learn, grow, and maybe even share minutes. But now, he's sidelined. Relegated to the rehab room while Hunt's return electrifies the dressing sheds. And he's not alone. Corey Jensen, the dependable engine in the Broncos' forward rotation, is also out. Another key piece missing from the puzzle. His injury, though less publicized, is just as significant. Another hole to fill, another rotation reshuffled. Because in this competition, depth isn't just luxury, it's currency. It's the difference between surviving and stumbling. Jensen brings grunt, brings reliability. He may not headline the highlight reels, but he earns respect every set, every collision, every carry into the teeth of the line. And now, he's off the field for at least 4 weeks. Michael Maguire has a headache. A selection dilemma he didn't plan for. Just when he needed options, experience, flexibility, 2 key contributors have been ripped from the script. This is the NRL in its rawest form. Unforgiving, unsentimental. One moment, you're planning a surge. The next, you're taping up the wounds. For Mozer, this is personal. He's spent the last 18 months climbing, training, pushing through the pecking order. He's not just a junior anymore. He's not just a prospect. He's a man ready to take the reins. But now, he'll need to wait. He'll need to watch. He'll need to recover with patience and purpose. Because recovery isn't just physical, it's mental. Ask any footballer who's sat in the stands while the world moves on. Mozer will be tested. Jensen too. But don't write him off. The fire that burns in sidelined athletes is unlike anything else. They don't just heal. They come back hungry. And when Blake Mozer does return, whether it's the tail end of 2025 or the fresh dawn of 2026, he'll remember this. He'll remember how close he was. He'll remember what it felt like to be so near, only for the game to remind him who's in charge. And when he runs back onto that field, he'll do so with steel in his eyes and resolve in his veins. For now, the Broncos will adapt. They always do. Ben Hunt will still arrive. His presence will still lift the team. But Maguire must dig deeper into his roster. He must find balance without 2 key pieces of his evolving puzzle. The pressure doesn't pause. The ladder doesn't wait. And with every week, the stakes rise. The Brisbane Broncos are not just managing a squad. They're navigating a minefield of expectations, injuries, and identity. And these next few weeks will say a lot about who they are. About what kind of depth they've built. About whether this team is a genuine contender or just another footnote in a season of what-ifs. Blake Mozer's story isn't over. Not even close. Neither is Corey Jensen's. In fact, sometimes the most powerful chapters begin on the sidelines, written in silence, sweat, and sheer determination. This is a detour, not a dead end. And when the Broncos run out in the coming weeks, there'll be 2 names missing from the team sheet. But don't forget them, because when the finals come knocking, when the pressure is at its peak, it's these kinds of players who return with something extra. With grit, with scars, with perspective, the kind of players that win you games in September. So yes, it's a blow. But it's not a knockout. The Broncos march on. The season rolls forward. And somewhere behind the scenes, Blake Mozzer is already planning his comeback.